All right, it's 7 o'clock. Let's call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kelly, can you do roll call, please?
Larry Taylor.
Here.
Frank James.
Here.
Brian Tanner.
Here.
Bryce Howard.
Here.
Scott Searwell.
Here.
Okay, any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda?
Only 4 invoices I need to add in the closed section.
I have 4 things I'd like to add. And they can be other new business or manager or forfeiture.
Where would you like them?
Just go with the manager. Railroad Depot, lead and copper inventory, water main contract, HWC, and North Main wastewater main project.
Anybody else?
We were going to remove the safety board.
I thought about that, but since we opened it up to the public,
Okay.
I think we need to at least address to the public as where the town stands, right? Okay. Can I get approval of the April 11th, 2023 regular meeting minutes? Motion?
I'll motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. April 24th, 2023 special meeting minutes. Can I get a motion for approval of those?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moves us to claims and transfers.
Under general, $111,879.15.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
From water, $52,301.06.
Motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
From wastewater, $59,435.68.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And payroll, $49,250.65.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then what is the first one you're going to go with on the 4 that we're adding?
Oh, if you don't mind, I can add them to my section because they're 4 invoices.
You want to go add those at the end?
That's
After
fine.
number 4?
Yes, that would be perfect.
Okay. Town Marshal.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You got the year-to-date activity report. We're sitting at 1,255 calls for service, 33 agency assists, and 1,372 police services. We've had some activity with some criminal activity the last couple of days. I think we've recovered 2 different stolen cars. We had one yesterday up in, everybody's been asking me about it, up in the parking lot at Rizzo's. that was out of Bloomington. So we've been pretty active on that. We're still down to one position, and we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do to try to get it filled. Currently, we've got Adam and Wade are sharing responsibilities, the SRO for the Cloverdale schools. We did make the changes on the contract for the other SRO position. I think we're the meeting at 2 tomorrow.
Is it 2?
I think it's 1400, yeah.
2 o'clock.
So it looks pretty good to go. I think I know Cloverdale School is going to be good to go with it. I think
It's already been approved.
it's been approved at Cloverdale School, so we're ready to go. And the officer we've got in standby, he's ready to go. He can go to work just about any time. So we should be good to go with that. The other thing I brought today is it's time again we've got money set aside for a new purchase of a vehicle this year. We've got a bid that I submitted to the council from Andy Moore for a 2023 Ford Ford Explorer. You guys have all had that in your packet. I'm trying to come up with some other, different, all the things that it comes with. I talked to Ken a little bit earlier. The price here includes stripping down the other cars, moving radios over, so it's a complete package deal that car is turnkey ready and could probably be as early as next week and be available.
As soon as the radios and stuff could be moved over to it, it would be functional. The rest of the prisoner transport that we would be installing in that car would be probably at a later date to finish it up the whole day.
This car is designed to be going to Wade Warren. Maybe we'll pick up this one. And that's what we've got. He led the county in criminal arrests the last 2 years, and we're going to have his prisoner transport cage in the back seat, which would be good to use. So, do you have any questions on the bid?
Are you getting multiple bids?
Kim, I want to address this. We tried to get some multiple bids on this. Police cars are scarce right now. There's several people in line for this particular car. He's getting calls from New York. A lot of the other dealerships are short on having police cars. Ford and Chevy are now not even building the cars till they get an order placed for them.
There's no stocking dealers anymore for police cars. You can't stock them. Ford cut back their production by 80% for 2023 versus 2022. So only orders they will take or from actual police agencies with a FIN code that they can verify that it's a legitimate purchase. The only reason we have the one we have is because the town of Avon, their school police department, ordered 2 of them, and they took the one already, which is the twin to this one, took it, but they decided not to take this one, so it became available. So the only way to get a police car is if a dealership who is ordering police cars or capable of doing that, is if they have one of the agencies that they order for decides not to take it, then it becomes available. Other than that, you can't order police cars. They were open for 2 weeks back in August. So these vehicles were ordered back in August, and we're just now starting to get them in April and May. That's how long it takes to get one. Then you got to come out there. So this one happens to be one that was already upfitted for the Indiana Marshals Association. So when you look at the bid, the upfit was already done to it for the show, and then it came out for the show. It went up on the market to be sold. The town of Cloverdale, or Steve Hiller, asked for that particular vehicle if it was available, so we held it for the town of Cloverdale. But there are other agencies that would be interested in it if for some reason you decided you didn't want it.
Is the 2 Adams vehicle and Wade's vehicle, they're currently under lease,
Yes.
correct? So if something was major to happen, is that coming under warranty?
Well, Wade's vehicle's in for warranty right now.
Yes, most police cars all police cars have a warranty of 100,000 miles, up to 5 years on the medium powertrain. So when they come out 100,000 miles, then it becomes an expense for the agency. But up until then, most all major repairs are done under the factory warranty.
But are we leasing those cars or are we buying them?
You're buying them, it's a lease.
Lease.
$1
Yeah, lease
purchase.
purchase, it's a buyout. Okay.
Yeah, usually buy them for what, $1? I think at the
Correct.
end of the lease, so you pay either annually or however you set it up. And at the end of that lease, you buy it for $1.
So then outside of normal maintenance, tires, oil changes, everything should be covered.
Everything should be covered, and if there's anything in the older cars, we have to pay out of our repair and maintenance.
How,
Mileage.
what's the bumper to bumper on the Taurus and Explorer?
On the Explorer?
Yeah, because the Explorers are new enough, it should still be a bumper to bumper right now, right now.
Well, the 336 is the bumper to bumper on any police car, but the powertrain warranty goes to 6 years, about 100,000 miles. So the major components that you're looking at is would go up to 100,000 miles for 6 years.
I think the council needs to also know how much we budgeted under the public safety fund for this year, which we did budget $80,000. With the current year-to-date spend at $14,550, that's $14,550. If the council approves this tonight, simple math, let's just call it, that leaves about $5,000 left for the remainder of the year in this account.
It's also going to be an insurance savings, isn't there? 2 for 1 will be an insurance savings.
I don't know about that.
I mean, you're buying a brand new vehicle, new vehicles carry higher insurances. I think it's a great idea, my personal opinion is, I think it's just the wrong timing in the event that we do have something happen and we have to dish out $10,000. You know, again, this puts us at $5,000 within budget for the year, which is at the beginning of May. But it's obviously a council decision.
Was that line item increased for the purchase of the vehicle?
Well, it was set aside for the purchase of a new vehicle
We
this
had
year.
50,000 this year.
We came up with a,
So the budget was 30,000 last year, this year it's 80 because of the car.
We had said, last year, we had put aside 25,000 for a vehicle and didn't get used, so this year it compiled, so they have 50,000 to purchase a new vehicle, but.
And the council should note that we do, correct me if I'm wrong, we do get $25,000 a year for this fund.
We get more than that for the fund, that's just what we had, in the plan that we had set
Yeah.
aside to purchase vehicles, that's what we had
That's the
set
allotment.
aside.
When does
part
that
was
money
for.
become available?
We have it now. The 25,000, for the 50,000 for the car, we have it. Yeah.
So you're not going to lease this car, you're going to pay up front.
Correct.
I make a motion that we buy the vehicle.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
For the record, I vote no.
No. Aye.
This passed.
that's all I've got. I'm gonna probably have to, I'm covering the road tonight, so I'm gonna need to control, but unless there's anything else for the business department.
Okay,
I think we're set.
Larry? Thank you.
Go arrest somebody.
We'll work on that.
Jason?
Time's up.
I've got a lot of things to mention.
UTV, we've talked about this for some time. I did get a quote from Tom Marine on Polaris Ranger. It's not something that has to be decided tonight. There may be more things that you guys would be interested in. You may not be interested at all, but I did get a quote from Tom Marine on a 2023 Polaris Ranger 1000 and a Ranger 570. I do think this would be something that would be exceptionally useful with the utilities. We are a little tighter on our spending this year, so it's not something we're prepared to do right now. I'm okay with that. We did hire a new employee that is working out pretty well. The problem with that is we don't have enough vehicles for him to be be out on his own, so usually he has to be with an employee when I could have him out doing something on his own. So it's not real convenient. This could be a great tool for us to use.
Is that quote in our packet?
I don't think it is. I've actually got them right here, and I apologize. If you want to put some more each down there. The one I did get the quote for, and also they do have sales tax listed on here, and it would be exempt, so you can deduct the 15,000 or the 1,500 on the sales tax.
Jason, can you speak up? Because it's really hard to hear, everybody's like mumbling. Yeah, and what I'm hearing is that this is, you're asking approval to buy a vehicle for a town member?
Not necessarily their approval, but at least to start the discussion. But this could be used for, obviously, it's much more convenient when you're working, especially if you're working in a grass area where you can pull right up to wherever you're working. We do have a GPS that we're going to really start hitting on the GPSing this year, so it would be very, very handy to have this with your GPSing. Obviously, much cheaper than buying a new truck.
And Jason, if
But it's still
you,
expensive.
if you said this, I apologize, I missed it. Where would these funds come from?
Well, we had talked about that out of a couple different places.
It would probably be split between water depreciation, wastewater depreciation, and either general or NVH, most likely general. How much are those quotes, or approximately?
21 and 24,000.
And how much are in the funds,
Ah,
Brandon?
Kelly is digging for that answer.
Are these gonna be good for all weather? I mean, if you're gonna have somebody working out of it as a.
Yeah, it's fully enclosed cab. You may want something different, but what I just had a quote was a fully enclosed cab with heat. Roll up windows, roll down windows, a light bar, so for work at night, and a lighting package with blinkers on all four, kind of like what you're looking for trucks have.
The only thing I would,
It did not put a blade on that. That's, we determined the only place that we thought that would be really useful would be here in this parking lot. And it's just quite a bit more expensive. Not saying it wouldn't be nice to have, but we're also trying to be reasonable with our expenses.
the only thing I would suggest that we do, just from being around this every day of my life, get a quote on a Kubota and a Deere. I mean, Rangers are good, but they're built more for play than work.
Yeah, I talked to Humphreys last week. I did not get a quote, and I'm not opposed to getting a quote from Kubota. I think they're, just by talking to them, I think they're gonna be substantially higher, but they are nice pieces of equipment. DePaul, that's all DePaul runs on their campus. They have like 7 yards. So we would use a very similar capacity as what DePaul University does.
I just manage in farm equipment dealerships. You get a lot of them traded in because they're not meant for work as much as what a Deere or a Kubota would be. So that'd be nice.
And I'm not even opposed to Arctic Cat or anyone else. It just seems like everybody around here has Polaris, and that's the only reason I got that. And this was honestly just to start the discussion. So I wasn't necessarily asking for approval. I wanted to know what the price was. Kelly and I had a chance to talk about it, but I just wanted to present it to you as a first.
I think they'd use a lot more than you think they would.
Oh, I think it'll be used quite often.
That's what
I'm
trying to
thinking,
more of.
if we're gonna make that type of an investment, we go ahead and get a blade and get it set up to work. So that we're not, just as a utility hauling vehicle, but a work vehicle.
Yeah, I don't think a winch is necessary. I don't think we'd ever use a winch, but a blade could be something.
Some of the blades require.
Yeah, and I don't know if it does on the Kubota. I don't think it does on the Ranger.
The Kubota, just the regular, your regular standard blade would require a winch if you went with a V blade.
Were you able to come up with a balance?
I can give you the fund balance, if that's what you want, that's the money in the bank today, but that does not take into account what we have set aside for various projects and things. In the water depreciation, the balance is $335,237, and the sewer depreciation is $96,922.
Thank you. Okay, so get some additional quotes.
Do you want another brand as well, or?
Yeah, I would look at the Deere and the Kubota. Those are, again, a work utility rather than.
I mean, the if you do the RTV 1100, which is what Paul has, they're not gonna go as quick as Ranger, because I mean, they're go.
Yeah, I don't think speed is
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, that's, yeah. But I guess when you're quoting, just make sure we're comparing apples to apples, you know.
Yeah, well, maybe a little bit different.
Yeah.
Difficult to do,
Yeah.
but the Kubotas are nice.
And I'm more than happy to help. Just call me.
The heat, I think, is a priority though. We're gonna use the same.
Yeah, if it's an all-weather vehicle, it's gotta be something all-weather.
So, and I think it needs to be a fully closed cab.
And this is a pretty fair price,
A mirror?
24.
Oh, well,
You get somebody over, you get out there.
Yeah, it's a work vehicle.
that did include a mirror too, a rear mirror.
Okay. Get some more,
That was just
1 to
initial.
2 more quotes, and then we'll review it next meeting.
Bennington Way sidewalk estimate, this is, and I can kind of throw this, let me see what's on here. I'll go ahead and throw this in here. Bennington Way, that project is under construction. I'm sure you've seen contractors up there.
They're moving.
Yeah, with the construction.
I mean,
We got delayed today, so we've got some conflicts that we're gonna try to get figured out. Hopefully that's gonna happen tomorrow. I talked to Eric about this a few minutes ago. So, with the utility conflicts, so we're not sure how that's gonna play out yet. So we got a water and a wastewater line that isn't gonna work out the way we hoped. So, but with that, along the east side of Bennington Way, we did have it designed for a sidewalk, so we could put a sidewalk in at some point. The community crossings matching grant will not put a sidewalk in if a sidewalk did not exist before the project. So it didn't call for a sidewalk. I asked them just to give the contractor that's out there now to give me a quote on a sidewalk just on the east side of Bennington Way, all the way up from the old Holiday Inn property, all the way to Beagle Club Road, and he gave me a quote of $24,500. Now, the only reason I asked him is because they're sitting there on site, they've got the equipment. That doesn't mean we can't do this at a later date, or, you know, we could ask another contractor. The only thing is, these folks are just sitting there right now, and they can do it, and that's what they gave me a quote today. And I know, I talked to Kelly about this, I don't know if you determined to,
I think we can, pay for some of the engineering on a local road and street, and that would free up a little bit of space in NVH to pay for the sidewalk.
it just depends whether you want a sidewalk on. I mean, it clearly needs a sidewalk. If it's not done now, we need to do one at some point. It's just whether it's necessary at this point.
My opinion is, we can't just do half the project per se, knowing that we want the appeal for that intersection as a town. Per what Kelly's saying, I think it would be wise for the town to move forward with having this done now versus later.
You have a rough idea how many feet that
No. I mean, I'm sure we've got you don't know what that is by chance, do you?
Off the top of my head, it's over 1,000 feet. But I don't,
is? Your sidewalk's gonna be how long?
5 foot. And it is right against this curve. This does not call for any green between the, if you've got that separation, the sidewalk only has to be 4 feet. Am I correct on that? I think NDOT specs.
It's 1,000 by 5 foot. I know what we just paid for concrete for that building. That's not a bad price.
that'll go right in front of the carpet store,
No, this is just right along,
Beagle Club.
no, not on Beagle Club. This is just right on Bennington Way. So it goes from the old Holiday Inn. It's, I don't know if you've been up there yet or not, there's a retaining wall that's under construction right now. It'll be in front of the retaining wall all the way down to Beagle Club.
Okay.
So the beneficiary would be any business along that area there. Now, we all know it needs to happen. I don't think that, it's just whether you feel like now is the time to do it.
Will that go into a crosswalk?
Yeah, there are 2 crosswalks that are ADA compliant. They have to be ADA compliant.
I would feel more comfortable having at least a second bid on that number, just because that is a lot of money for sidewalks, and we may be able to get it cheaper
Is it
by
something,
one of our local.
is it something we could get a bid quick enough and we could maybe do a special meeting if they're just sitting there and ready to go?
You got the drawings, so we could mark on where that sidewalk has been quoted
you could hand it to somebody to quote it
I would
easily.
feel more comfortable doing that, just put numbers, you know, in perspective.
The only concern I have about a second contractor is the logistics of when they would do it.
I think you'd want to wait till this.
That's what I'm saying, if we could get a couple of bids now, and obviously wait till the end of the project and have a second contractor come in, if it saves us several $1,000s.
Yeah, you wouldn't want the two in the way of each other.
No, we'd have to wait till they're done with what they're doing.
What does a job call for as far as finishing work on that side? I said grass and,
Yeah, it'd just be topsoil and seed.
I think for sure, my opinion is it for sure needs to happen at the end of the project, but I'm agreeing on maybe getting another quote. So I'll make a motion to get a couple more quotes and decide which contractor to move forward with once we receive the quotes.
So 2 more quotes?
1, 2,
At least one, if we can get 2, fine, but at least a second quote.
Is this something that you think that we, because they're projected to be there 4 weeks, well, it should be less than 4 weeks, total project is 4 weeks. They may be out of there before our next council meeting,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's get a quote, we'll do a special meeting.
or would you want to, I mean, if you think you're gonna move forward with it, if we get a,
My motion was to get a second quote and decide after the second quote which one to move forward with. Let's move forward.
Let's do it, get a second quote, if the second quote is lesser, we have a special meeting, if it's more, we go ahead with the current. And they can complete the job.
For the current 24/5?
Yes, so if you get a second quote that's less than that,
well,
consider, you know, let's maybe put 10 or 15% less.
my only concern is, a couple concerns. We just said out loud at a public meeting what one of the bidders' quotes were. So anybody can be sitting out there with a sticker on their truck, saying, well, I just have to go 24,250. And I get the bid. And we're spending a lot of money, as we talked about during our previous meetings. You know, this is almost the front door of Cloverdale that we're spending over $1 million on to make nice. And you spend all that money and then somebody comes in and doesn't do a job that, and all of a sudden our nice project looks bad. So I think we ought to be mindful that, in how we select this next, if we go with a different contractor. One, it's gonna be done after the job anyway, if it's a different contractor, which does create some logistic issues. I would be cautious about giving just to the lowest bidder, since we set out loud at a public meeting what the other bidder's price is.
Because you just, all you have to do is come in $500 or $1,000 less than their one.
$1.
$1, he's right.
Well, that's why Greg said 10, 15%.
But again, you just,
We said out loud.
yeah,
Don, what's your question?
Well, I would encourage the council to go ahead with getting bids to put that sidewalk in now. Concrete is not readily available and is not getting any cheaper. Ready mix is, I believe, right now, $140 a yard, and I do not foresee that going down. We are importing a substantial amount of concrete to be used in this country, and we're importing it from overseas.
Thank you for that.
I'll go with my original motion. We get another quote. We have a council meeting, a special council meeting on which contractor we go with, but we move forward.
maybe you can come up with different metrics other than cost, because like, it's now publicized, so if you can come up with other metrics other than just money, I don't know what they would be,
That should be in their proposals.
so that's what I'm saying.
And that's what my motion is. We're not
And these
gonna go
are
with this
sealed
quote.
bids, correct?
That's why my motion is.
Well, obviously, it's not.
It doesn't have to be sealed at this point, we already have an established dollar amount
Okay.
that we're working off
That's why my motion has nothing to do with price. We'll have a special council meeting
of to determine.
to determine
choice.
which contractor we're going with.
You better come up with some kind of metrics, otherwise you're gonna have a huge issue that Richard might be taking care of.
Is there a second on this motion?
Not second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
AED grant, the town did apply for an AED grant for the town hall through Hendricks Regional Health, and we were awarded that grant. Rick from the police department has ordered that AED. That's a reimbursement, so when we do get that, we will submit that back to Hendricks Regional Health for reimbursement.
So we had to use ours at the arena for the first time in 11 years.
Did you really?
A month ago.
Did it work?
And a guy was gone for 4.5 minutes and you're shocked if he came back.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna have one here soon. I don't know when the delivery date is, but Rick ordered it probably a week and a half or 2 weeks ago.
How will you advertise it, Jason?
Advertise that it's here or?
Yes.
Uh,
Will you?
Okay.
Like publish, like announce it on your website, or,
We can.
I think you should.
Um,
People might be more comfortable coming to the meetings if they know that it's here and they have those kind of problems.
I'm sure Hendricks Regional's gonna wanna publicize it too. And obviously they're going to do the grant, so.
Mm-hmm.
Poet wastewater?
Wastewater relocation, that is complete. We did run into some issues along the way, but we got all of those resolved. On the claims tonight is there, you guys have already approved that, but it is on one of the claims.
I have the claim here as an add-on.
So, okay. And then to go to the additions that we had, any questions about that? But it is complete, thankfully, and I'm glad that's done. The ads that we had tonight, first at Depot, we had a request again to release the depot, the old railroad depot that sits up by the water fill station, by a contractor that's interested in using it as a work office during the NDOT project. And it would be over a year lease. And they're doing work on ISAC. So just bringing it back to the council for discussion.
I think it's an opportunity for the town to bring in some revenue. Pending the lease agreement that is drawn up, I think the council should consider moving forward in this direction.
I'm still correct, the only access to that depot is Haman's Road that the town is not on, correct?
That is correct.
And I think we had talked about renting that property in the past years, and we kind of came to a understanding that we didn't want to get into the rental property. So that was a concern that we had when it came up for our option in the past.
I love the revenue and I love the option of it. My only problem, and I guess probably more to you, is that's not our road and it's not a good road as it is.
And we're not landlords.
I have not investigated, I assume there's probably an easement, a granted easement that allows us to the property. If not, a court would order it.
This is for the sole purpose of Jason continuing the investigation homework to make sure that all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed. That's all this is for.
NDOT won't sign, or shouldn't sign it, get into a lease agreement without access to the property.
It's a contract, you know.
Yeah.
So that's all this is, that's all this discussion is for.
What's the timeline, how soon do they want to enter into an agreement?
They need something soon. I think, I told them when I talked to them, I said I would bring it up to council meeting and see if you were interested in leasing, whether you're, and if you are interested, what the rent would be or what the term would be.
You could give our president, you could do it this way, you could give, upon my approval as far as the legality of the lease, and then give our president approval to enter into an agreement on the amount. Because we've heard dollar amount, I don't want to say dollar amount out here, so, you know, you're getting over 1,000 or whatever. That way we can enter the agreement for the next meeting and get that taken care of. So just a motion to pending legal approval and giving the president authority to negotiate on the town to have a dollar amount for the term of the lease.
The road is not a worry to you at all.
We'll make sure that's okay before we enter into the agreement. We obviously can't enter the agreement if we don't have access to it. We have to have access, some agreements.
There's access.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's,
Was there an agreement?
Not that I remember ever, but I'm sure Eric will allow it.
No, I mean, yeah, I think if you went to Eric and said, I mean, heck, he'd do it for nothing, but I just wanna make sure everything's crossed there.
Yeah.
We, yeah,
We made a motion to get this taken care of before the next meeting.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
One motion?
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, just, it's the president authority.
The next thing is the lead and copper, and I know we've talked about that for quite some time. The state has given guidelines to us. Any utility over 1,000 customers is eligible to apply for a $15,000 grant to put the database together for our lead and copper inventory. Rebecca, our deputy clerk Rebecca, has been working on that so far. We have spoken to a couple of contractors that are interested in doing that for us. We've not made a decision on this, but we do need to apply by June the 9th for this grant. Now, if we're gonna have a special meeting, and it sounds to me like we're probably gonna have a special meeting before then, I think we'll have everything lined up, what contractor we want to use and how we want to apply for this grant. So we're right at a month to get that done. But I just wanted to update you, that's still in the process. We're getting that figured out. And if you remember, we're required to give an inventory of all known lead and copper service lines in town, and we can do it by inventory based on the year the home was built. We can also do it by digging it up, or what we were doing today, potholing it. We did 8 homes today, potholed it down, see whether it's copper, mark it on a list and go on. So right now, we're just putting an inventory down of all of our customers, addresses, all of that information. So it is in the process. I'm gonna have some better information for you here over the next couple weeks, and a recommendation, I think, for what consultant we use to do. HWC is one of them, I think, that's doing that now, but we've got a couple other consultants that are required as well.
So we need to go ahead and apply for that grant now.
Yeah, I think we need to know who our consultant is for that. We've got some ideas.
I mean, do we need to apply for that grant before the next meeting?
Not if we have a special meeting. If we have a special meeting, we're gonna be fine.
Okay.
And it sounds to me like we're having a special meeting, or most likely we're having a special meeting. But we know that's all happening. We'll get her done. Next thing we have on here is water main engineering, and this is HWC. This is the water main extension going from the tower to almost to Poet. This is where we're recipients of READY funds, and part of our responsibility is to pay for the engineering, and READY would pay for all of the construction. So Eric can explain the contract. He writes. I haven't sent those.
Two copies, that Jason.
Yeah, last year, if you recall, we HWC completed a preliminary engineering report of the town's water system to make recommendations on system improvements over a 20-year planning period. One of the key projects of that was improving the water supply to the north end of the system. Essentially, it was extending a 10-inch water main from the town storage tank up to 231 North to essentially County Road 800. That report was submitted to the state and is being considered for funding. Nothing has been done on that yet. The town's working forward on its wastewater needs currently, and is going to focus on water after the wastewater begins to move. But something that kind of pushed that to the forefront, NDOT needed some water main relocated along with the Poet wastewater due to a project they were doing on 231 North. So the section of the water main is being relocated, or will be relocated soon, on the north end of the proposed project the town was proposing to do in the preliminary engineering report. Since we were recommending that project a 10-inch rather than relocating the existing 6-inch, what is being relocated is now a 10-inch. Since that time, we've had discussions with the local Ready region. There are funding available for projects that are eligible, given POET and that private investment. The town was able to get a commitment from Ready to, as Jason said, fund $1.5 million, which is essentially the construction cost of this project. And what this will do is reduce what the town has to do through SRF. Essentially, what this project will do is extend from the south point of the sectional water main that was relocated for the NDOT project, bring it down 231, across 231 to the west side, bore across I-70 and come down to County Road 900. Based on the amount of money that we can get from Ready, we then skipped over to the east side of 231 and did the section under County Road 900 there, because that is the next section that's in community crossings. That way we could get the water main installed there before the pavement is done next year, and that section of water main would be in place. So then what that would leave the town to complete after this Ready project is completed is the section up to the tank from County Road 900, and then the section on County Road 900 west of 231. That would be the only two gaps. And then that whole project that was in the preliminary engineering report would then be complete. The contract that Jason presented is for us to do the engineering. As the town's match to get the Ready was essentially to cover the non-construction costs or the engineering of the project. This would include all the surveying, design, preparation of plans and specs, and overseeing the construction. The schedule would be to have all of this work done by the first quarter of 2024. And that would allow the next phase of County Road 900 to proceed immediately after that.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, would somebody like to make a motion for this proposed agreement?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else you want me to update on, Jason?
Yeah, I don't think so. I may have a couple questions for you here in just a second, though, because I'll run you on it.
Okay.
You can call in. Mr. President, with your permission, can I add one more thing to the agenda? Sorry. I'll continue on where we are right here. I put on the North Main Street wastewater extension. That is a wastewater extension that goes from a vacant lot on the west side of 231 back up to the Lewis addition. We did the engineering and easement acquisition probably 9 months ago. There is going to be development in there soon, and they're requesting that we proceed with taking sewer to that property. So I actually communicated with a contractor today, and actually been talking to Eric about this as well, a local contractor, just to kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. Our wastewater funds are low, and we just want to make sure we get this project done, so we're going to try to do it as economical as possible. We might even be able to do some of it ourselves, and that's what I had conversations with Brad this afternoon too, Brad Wolf, with the town. The engineering calls for 3 structures. That could be probably our biggest concern with us doing it ourselves. But there's a possibility of having a contractor set the structures, and then we put the pipe in the ground and connect to the sewer. It's not a huge project, but I just wanted to update you that we're going to have to be doing something on it pretty soon. I held off until I knew development was going to happen. I was told last week it is going to happen.
Awesome.
So.
Thank you for that.
The thing that I did need to add is we had our sign inventory. If you remember, we did get approval from NDOT for that grant. We had solicited letters of interest from different consultants. We received 4. I received those. They were required to be here by 3 o'clock today. I received one from United Consulting, DB Engineering, HWC Engineering, and First Group Engineering. They don't have to be opened right now because they're just letters of interest. But what is required of us, and Eric, you may know this process better than me, the council does need to select a minimum of 3 people to do scoring. We'll get the scoring list, but we need to have a meeting where you're gonna score these proposals in here, and that's how we will select the consultant to do the sign inventory, the grant that we had done.
Okay.
Is there anything?
No, and there's a portion of the scores that you actually get from NDOT.
Correct.
That goes into the scoring sheet, so.
Yeah, tomorrow I have to contact NDOT, I'll give them who our consultants are. They will send us a rating back to us.
All those consultants, ours included, we have scores through NDOT, so that's kind of an automatic thing that you get in your scoring sheet.
Okay.
But I do need the council to come up with 3 people that are willing to go through these and score them. And
Any-
it could be the council, it can be,
So there's no prices in here?
no.
They're not, okay.
This is all based on their ability to do the job.
Oh.
And that's how the 3 council members would determine, according to their scoring sheet or whatever's on the sheet to abide by. Are there 3, let's start with 1, any volunteer? I will. Is there a second person?
Sure.
That's 2. Is there a third? And there's your 3.
I will get to work on that tomorrow, get the scoring from the state. But it's something that we need to get on, moving on fairly quick. I don't think it takes, there's only 4 of them, so it's not that big a deal to do, but I'll get with you guys and set up time for us to all do that.
Awesome.
And then the last thing that I have, an issue, and I've had conversations with Mr. Shagley a little bit about this. We've had requests for short-term rentals in Cloverdale. And we're trying to just determine how we need to proceed with short-term rentals. There's nothing in our zoning ordinance with regards to it. Obviously, our zoning ordinance was built for short-term rentals wherever thought of. I guess my question, and I emailed Mr. Shagley as well, whether the planning commission needs to do that, or if the council can just add that with a new ordinance to, as a special exception or special use.
Just like Airbnb?
Correct. Or VRBO.
I just have the planning commission come with a plan, make a recommendation to the full, with the council for approval. Just so that have some input and recommendation.
Anything else?
We're being asked. What was it about that?
He did ask about the
Oh,
state.
okay, it was about that.
And Eric answered that. Okay. Thanks, Jason. All right. Clerk Treasurer?
All the monthly reports are in your packet for your review. And then there's several claims that will come in. that are already on. The first one is from Trojan, it's invoice number 10478. And it's in the amount of $4,797.94.
Is there a motion to approve this invoice?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Next is from the Easy Street Company, it's invoice number 200-37687. It's the amount of $2,799.44.
Is there a motion to approve that invoice? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is Service Pump and Machine, invoice number 1930A, for the amount of $3,538.
Is there a motion to approve this invoice?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Wheeling Brothers, invoice number 2205, for the amount of $21,134. This is for wastewater, it's for sludge removal.
Is there a motion to approve that invoice?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
And then the 4 additional, these are in your packets. They were late, they got there today, but you do have these invoices in your packets as well. The first one is from Perry's Alignment Plus. I don't have an invoice number on here that I can see. It is for the dump truck repairs, I believe, for $6,296.30.
Is there a motion to approve that invoice?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And next is the JAMRR excavating, and this is what Jason spoke to earlier for the wastewater line that was moved. And that invoice is $20,032.25.
Is there a motion to approve this invoice?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
The next 2 are for the K9 cage that was purchased and installed in the Tahoe. There's 2 here. One is for, obviously for the installation, one is for the parts.
And both of these were to be paid out of their fundraiser fund, correct?
This is all for K9, so it would come out of K9 donation. Here's one thing I would like to point out, though. The 2 invoices together total $6,304. The K9 donation fund currently only has $5,987 in it, so we're going to be short about $318. I didn't get a chance to talk with anyone in the police department today regarding that. I will do that before I pay, but certainly we'll exhaust the K9 donation fund first. And then my initial thought would be we would take the remaining $318 out of the police donation, just the regular police donation fund. Like I said, that's my initial thought, but I haven't discussed that with anyone in the police department yet.
Motion to approve both of these invoices for payment?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And that's all I have.
Okay, redevelopment commission? Kelly? Okay,
I just don't have it.
okay, moving on. BZA?
Yes, sir. Actually, we did have an agenda item, and I'm going to defer to the man in the purple shirt, Jason, for the details.
The BZA did meet in the first of this month to hear a variance request, on a building standard variance request on a property on East Logan Street. It was denied by the BZA. It was a unanimous denial.
What was it for?
It was a request to reduce the setbacks from the front from 25 feet to 1 foot, from the side of 5 feet to 1 foot, and the back of 15 feet to 1 foot. And it was just denied entirely. There was no, the BZA does have the authority to.
And what was the address of this?
Jason?
East Logan Street.
Okay, thank you. Anything else in BZA?
No, sir, that was it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Planning Commission, we do have a vacancy. If anybody is interested, I ask that you please get a hold of Kelly or Jason. Same with Park Board, we do have a Park Board vacancy as well. If anybody is interested, please get a hold of Jason or Kelly. Okay, ordinances 2023-3.
This is just the first reading of an ordinance to set up a new fund to receive the ready funds that we were, that have been previously discussed. Just establishes a fund, so we'll receive the money, please donate, but this is just the first reading, and we can have a second reading next month.
Okay, moving on to old business. First topic is the safety board. Under direction of council, following Indiana code, only cities can establish a safety board. So following, again, legal counsel advice, this town council will make up our safety board for the town of Cloverdale. That brings us to 54 East Market.
There is no update on that right now.
No new business. Stardust Hills HOA.
Garage sale weekend, that's all I've got to talk about. And it's, I think coincides with the town, does not.
I couldn't hear you.
I think it coincides with the town, so just bring your money and come on out.
Thank you.
You want to tell us what time it starts, what time it is?
I don't even know what the hours are.
Sunrise to sunset.
That's usually what we do. I think it's like 8 to 5.
I don't remember any hours for it, so.
Just want to make sure our friends in the local media report accordingly.
Council, anything else? Okay.
Wait,
Citizens.
can I have a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question about the train depot.
Yes.
When it was donated, it was not donated for revenue-making purposes.
Okay.
So why all of a sudden are we changing like SLAs? You guys are all into making revenue. It was supposed to be for educational and museum purposes.
I've got a question. Yeah, exactly. What
Why,
is the
why,
purpose of
yeah,
it?
so what happened to that? Why are we not honoring that?
Well,
I prefer.
it's my understanding, and I don't have the deed in front of me, but the deed was from the Cloverdale Chamber of Commerce, who was previous owner of the building. And they deeded to the town for the purpose of the educational. That was approximately, what? Right at 2019?
So has it been rewritten?
No.
Has it been revised or amended?
No, it's just,
Has it been used for the,
it hasn't been used
It
for that.
hasn't used at all.
that's what I'm.
That's
I mean, it's just sitting there.
Okay,
And we're paying utilities on it.
okay.
And the town board, since I've been with the town board, there's been off and on discussions on how to use that. The town's not in a position of investing in the creation of a museum or for educational purposes. There has been discussion about if we were to rent, we could use that money, if there's a short-term rental type situation, similar to what we have here in approximately about a year. And those funds could go into an account to help kind of build up some revenue to maybe at some point create a situation where it was used for the intended purpose.
In theory, I agree, but you're going against the grain of that agreement. Isn't that a legal document?
It's a deed, and if
Isn't that a legal document?
the deed is a legal document, and if the Cloverdale area Chamber of Commerce would like to challenge that or discuss it, we would be happy to discuss that with them.
So
Okay.
this revenue that's generated, if we decide to rent it, is going to be put back into a fund for developing that building at a later time?
That would be the hope that, we talked about that when we had another suitor about a year and a half ago, is that we could use those funds to maybe do something.
So shouldn't we rent it to somebody who's like more in line with, an educator or like a librarian or something versus NDOT and transportation?
Find us a room.
There's
Yeah.
no market for that right
No,
now.
I mean, but let's go back. If somebody's gonna rent it and you're allowing somebody to rent it, why don't we advertise that it's available for rent?
And once we know that we're doing this, that is a possibility down the road.
Because
We
you
were-
already have a renter.
Well, we were contacted.
Exactly.
It wasn't publicized.
But what I'm saying is, if you're gonna approve somebody renting it, that's not, again, you're going against the grain and the honor, you're not honoring
We
this
haven't approved
deed.
anybody to rent.
We're moving towards that. It's not the situation where the town has a chunk of change in an account and the town's not opting to do it. They don't have the funds to create an educational facility. As a result, they're trying to raise some funds. And again, if the Cloverdale Area Chamber of Commerce has an issue with this or would like to discuss it, we'd be happy to do so.
Well, you might, again, when your president says, I'm all into making revenue, you might want to keep that in mind, because it went, again, it's the grain of why the chamber donated it to begin with, and why you guys spent all kinds of money on renovating that and bringing it back to the historical year. And now it is sitting there, and if somebody's gonna rent it or think about wanting to make revenue off of it, then advertise it as such and open it up.
My recommendation would be if we're going to turn that into a rental property, that we open it up to the local people to see if somebody does want to rent it for something that would benefit the Cloverdale town rather than
Schools,
NDOT.
library.
Because it would be more of a, if we're looking at revenue, then let's generate revenue with it, but offer that to the local people. And maybe it would be a long-term rental rather than a short-term.
Rather than a year.
And what is NDOT going to use it for, an office? Does that mean there's gonna be NDOT traffic and equipment and stuff stored around it? I
Well, we
mean,
can control that.
that's why I'm saying, I think if we're gonna open it up as a rental, we have to open it up as a rental to our local people first.
Okay. We have guidance on the direction that we're going.
Yeah.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir.
Well, I think this is a bigger issue than just, are we gonna rent it or not rent it? Number one issue is that I think council has to, first of all, decide what you're gonna do with these private roads. Those are private lanes. They have not been installed to anybody's specifications except put some stone down here. Now, those roads don't belong to the town of Cloverdale.
We are aware.
And if something happens on those roads, by invitation of increasing traffic to and from and so forth, I think this is a bag of worms. I think the town has been put in a corner with this agreement from the chamber. Cloverdale Chamber of Commerce does not exist anymore.
Correct.
Correct.
We don't have one, haven't had one, and are not gonna have one in the foreseeable future. So you can't even give it back to them. And the people in Greencastle really don't care if school keeps or not with Cloverdale Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you for that.
My anticipated, NDOT is gonna have somebody on site, because there's gonna be a lot of construction on 70. And my guess is this is in lieu of a rainy day trailer, which is a very costly and expensive venture. So indirectly, this is a kind of a way, and I would imagine a large portion of Cloverdale's residents use I-70, and a lot of our customers use I-70. So Cloverdale benefits from the construction of I-70, so if we can help NDOT, then it benefits everybody. I mean, it's.
Anybody have anything else?
Could you, I'm just curious, what's the date that they're talking about? I mean, that right away, I was curious if by chance everything fell into place, which it sounds like that's certainly the question, when would they like to have it?
June.
June, okay,
That's quick.
right away.
We'll call this meeting adjourned.